Welcome back, gentlemen. It's Wednesday. Lesson 59 in Saxon L59, adding integers on the number line. So, basically, adding positive and negative numbers, and to see how to do it, we're using a number line. So, recall that integers include both whole numbers and their negatives. So, an integer, I don't know why, but this is what helps me remember it. I think of integers as intergalactic, right? If something's intergalactic, it's all throughout space, including different planets. And so I think integers intergalactic means it's both the whole numbers and the negative numbers. It's the whole thing, 0, all of that. So, an integer is a whole number, like 1, 2, 3. It's a negative number, like -1, -2, -3. It's also 0. So, the dots on this number line mark the integers from -5 through +5. So we can see this right here on your page. So remember that numbers between the whole numbers, such as 3 1/2 and 1.3, are not integers. So, integers include everything that is whole numbers. So, -2. Even though it's negative, it's still a whole number. But it doesn't include things like 2 1/2. So, they're either negative or positive. Positive and negative numbers have a sign and a value, which is called an absolute value. The absolute value of a number is its distance from 0. So, you can see on this table, it's small, but -3, if I ask you for a -3's absolute value, it's just asking how many numbers is it away from 0. So even though it's -3, if I ask you what is -3's absolute value, the answer is just 3. Because it's just 3 spaces away from 0. Absolute value doesn't take into account what the number sign is, whether it's positive or negative. It's just saying how far away from 0 is it. So, how do you know if a question is asking you for absolute value? Well, the good news is it has a sign. So, if I have -3 and I have these, I don't know if you want to call them goalposts on either side, that's asking for absolute value. So, those two lines are telling me it just wants me to say how many spaces away from 0 is -3. Well, my answer would be just 3. Right? Absolute value doesn't care. It wants the absolute. It doesn't care about signs. It doesn't care about negative numbers. It doesn't care about positive numbers. It cares how far away from 0 are you. Okay, so let's take a peek here at example 3. So example 3 says, show this addition problem on the number line. So, yes, you are going to have to draw a number line. I'm sorry. Cry me a river, all of that, but it is what must be done. So, I'm drawing out my number line. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. Okay. So, it starts with -2, so we're going to go to -2. Let's pick a different color here. Help ourselves not be confused. So -2 plus +5. You can see that since it's in those parentheses, it's letting us know this number is +5. So -2 plus +5. That means we're moving in a positive direction, right? So we're moving 5 spaces in the positive direction. So, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we have plus -4. Well, since it's a -4, even though we're adding, we're going to be moving in the negative direction. So, let's pick a different color here, help ourselves not be confused. So, we start at 3, where we ended up when we went +5, and we're going to go back -4. Because even though it's plus -4 is moving in a negative direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So what's our final answer to that problem? Well, it's -1. And again, it can be confusing, but just think, what direction is it moving? What direction is it going to take me on the number line? And before you ask it, do I have to draw a number line if it asks me show the addition problem on the number line? The answer is yes. You absolutely have to. I'm sorry, there's no other way around it. So, you do have to draw a number line on problems like that. So remember, what direction are you moving? If a problem's asking for absolute value, it will either say, find the absolute value of this number, or it will have these goalposts. Absolute value does not care whether a number is negative or positive. It only cares about how far away from 0 is it. That's the review for what you will be working on today. So, without further ado, let's look at the lesson practice. I would like you to complete A, D, and F. So A, D, F. Yes, you will need to use arrows or number lines to help you solve these problems. 1, it's going to be a whole lot less confusing if you do that. And 2, it's good practice. So go ahead and pause this video, complete A, D, and F, come back, check your answers, see how you did. Alright, let's check your answers. So for A, we have -2 plus -3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. Let's make that 4 a little bit better. Okay, so we're starting at -2, right? So let's pick a different color here. We're starting at -2, and we're adding -3. So we really have to think about this for a second. You're adding -3. Because it's -3, we're moving in a negative direction, which would be to the left. So, let's go. -3 to the left. 1, 2, 3. So what's our answer to that problem? It is -5. Alright, D. +5 plus -2. Let's go ahead and 3, 4, 5. So we have 5, or excuse me, this is positives. So we have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, -1, -2, -3. Okay. So, +5, we're starting at +5 here. And we're adding -2. Because we're adding a negative, we're moving in a negative direction. So we're going to go 1, 2. What's the answer? The answer to this problem is +3. Let's go to F. Oh, here's the doozy. Alright. So, we have 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, -1, -2, -3. Okay. So, what do we start with? Well, we start with a -3. And we're adding +6. So we know because we're adding a positive number, we're moving in a positive direction. So we're going to head to the right. 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're at +3. So then we have plus -1. So we're going to have to go back 1 because we're adding a negative, which means we're moving in a negative direction. So go over 1, we get +2 as our answer. Do you see why it's important to actually draw out this number line on these types of problems? Could you do it in your head? Maybe. I don't know. But it's a lot less confusing if you use this method. And it also reminds you, okay, I'm starting at -3, I'm adding 6. I'm not going to end up with 9. I'm going to end up with 3 because I'm starting at -3. And I move over 3. And then I have 3 more to go. So I go 3. It's a +3. The answer to this particular problem is +2 because at the end we had to add a -1, which means go back 1. Alright, you are now ready for the mixed practice. Best of luck, gentlemen. And remember, tomorrow is Friday Eve.